Hello, everybody. If it's Saturday, it must be, and we're here, it must be another Warhammer reveal reaction show. And in fact, that's exactly what this is. So, Tom, what's going on, buddy? We're here. We're here to talk about stuff.
Hello, friends.
Yeah, man. What did you think of this one overall? How'd this one rate for you amongst the three?
Yeah. It was good. It was good. It was like obviously the Giants were sexy. Um and yeah, just lots of there's some real surprise, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was new. Like not like I'm not being flippant there, but it was really like truly new models that like the Canite band we didn't know was coming. So yeah, I mean overall like it ranked pretty high amongst the different reviews.
Oh yeah, this one was a hot 10 out of 10 for me, buddy. This
Oh,
was everything I'd been waiting for.
I'm sure it was.
This is it. We got the meat here. They brought the meats, and I was more than thrilled. I mean, this is the thing I was looking for. I have been very excited. So, uh, yeah, man. Do you want to just get into it? Should
Yeah,
we just get into it?
yeah, just share and let's start scrolling. Yeah,
Okay, let's do it. Here we go. So I brought it up on screen here. Obviously, Tom, our viewers can't see you anymore. Uh, as Paul Wagner just said in the chat, and I do want to state this as we're getting into this, this would have been the most epic Adepticon reveal ever, because there's probably still like one, maybe two other things they just didn't show at all
sure.
because they're just not sure when they'll even ever be able to release it.
Yep.
Chances are with this stuff, since with the Giants and with the Elves, since we saw the bills of lading already land, right, which means they showed up in port in the UK, right? A lot of this stuff already exists. The other stuff they were going to show, my guess is, wasn't like actually uh ready yet. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? No, did we lose Tom? What happened?
I'm sorry. I'm here.
Okay. So
Sorry.
what I was saying was they probably left one or two things off because this stuff we already saw the bills of lading and how it
Right.
arrived in the UK. So it's
Yep.
probably all basically ready to go. Like this has already been printed. The factory's already produced the Giants. It's already
Yep.
produced the Lumineth. Like they just need to get their mechanism, their machines back up to ship everything. I mean
Right.
the logistical machine, right?
Right. Yeah, and so like that stuff that was farther out, that isn't good, like ready to go, they likely aren't going to preview.
Right,
They don't
exactly.
know what that's going to be.
Because they didn't send this out from the central hub where they store everything out to like the warehouses, out to everything else,
Right.
and they might have still had some runs left to do of some of it in the factory in Nottingham, right?
Right. Right.
But we know the stuff that's produced overseas already got there. Anyway, so I'm excited. Hopefully that means there won't be a huge delay in actually
Yep.
getting our Lumineth and our Giants once things get back up and running again.
Yep.
Um, but we'll see. So this is the giant kit. This is just the silhouette. Obviously, I wanted to spend a moment here. You and I had a lot of discussion beforehand. This guy
Yep.
is definitely on a 130 round.
Like if
Uh,
this is scale, he's on a
if
130.
yes, assuming this image isn't lying, right? This
Yep.
is on a 130 round. So that's how big this dude is. That's quite big.
Yep. He's
So
beefy. He's
yeah. By
beefy.
the way, you won't be able to see this, Tom. But I mean, if you have this up on a separate screen, you'll be able to see it. But I want to give everybody a comparison. So here is one of my actual Warhammer Giants out of like this is the classic
Sure.
giant kit, right? So he's here, and that's his size. This is the Storm Giant King from
Oh,
Gale
yeah.
Force 9.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And they're about like this guy is about the height of that giant. If you compare the two, if you
To
look,
the Gale Force 9 one.
yeah, like this giant comes up to about like the head of this giant of the Warhammer giant, sorry, comes up to like the lower torso, the stomach area of the big giant,
Yep.
and it's about the same here. So realistically, this giant, the new giant, let's call him the mega giant, right? The mega giant will be slightly larger than this guy, than the Storm Giant King, because he's like this is a tiny bit bigger comparatively. So,
Yep.
but that gives you a pretty good idea of what we're talking about here. And I love this Storm Giant King. Like that's a giant. He's massive. He's yes.
He
So
feels smart.
yeah, he feels the part. So I thought that'd be an interesting comparison. I went and grabbed them because I realized I had these two guys and they're actually quite close in size. But let's look at the actual kit, shall we?
Yep.
All right, so we've got our three dudes, our Kraken Eater, our Siege Breaker, and our War Stompa. So we're starting on the War Stompa. Uh, yeah, man. I'm like, I don't love this head because I've never liked the horned heads for giants. That was a classic option as well, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I'm not a huge fan of this, the big horn on the side of his head. Now, that being said, that is
Now,
where
is that a big horn, or like it looks like that's something on his backpack because you see the other horn of it.
Oh yeah, you may be right. Yeah, maybe that's not actually coming out of his head. Maybe that's just an optical illusion. I bet you're right, Tom. I bet that's just a backpack thing. So never mind, I'm back on board. Well, there we go. I had one critique for this model. That was it. All right,
Yeah,
now I've only got positive things to say.
I think it's only positioning. Like
I think you're right.
Yep. I love his little Stormcast shield belt, his belt buckle.
Yeah, man. He's got some great stuff down here, like the shell of so let's play. Paul mentioned this before, and I think this is a fun thing to do. Let's play sort of name the source bit, right?
Yep.
So this is obviously the shell off the big turtle from Idneth. This is a chaos shield, right?
Yep.
We've got a Stormcast round shield here. We can't quite see these shields, but they look a little more like the traditional shield arm the giant had. And then over here, more shields. There was a rumor engine that had a big giant gut plate. We didn't see that anywhere here. So I wonder if that's not an alternate bit, right? Like, I wonder if there's not some alternate bits that you can use to make this guy into a hero. Because clearly these are going to make both the normal kit and the normal kit and the hero version, right?
This dude is going to be $140.
I'm fine with that. Like, yeah, for this kind of options, I mean, it is your whole army probably in, like, if you just ran these guys, what, 4 or 5 figs probably?
Oh, right? Not even 5. I'm saying it's going to be, I'm saying that you would have, they're going to be between 400 and 500 points apiece. That's what I'm calling.
Sure. So if it's 400 points, that's why I said 4 to 5.
4 of these. I'd expect 4 of these guys and then like 2 small guys. Like that's probably an army.
Right. Realistically, we know they can't be more than 500 points. Okay? The absolute ceiling of the cost of these guys is 500 points. Because they want you to be able to make an army out of just these guys, right?
Right.
And you'd have to have 1 hero and 3 battle line.
Right.
Right? So
well, some of these guys may become battle line. Like, so for example, if you do like the hero Kraken Eater, the normal Kraken Eaters may become battle line with it.
I hope it's not that limited. I would just assume that if one of these guys is the leader, then the rest become battle line, right? Like that is to say, all of these giants have it's an army without a standard battle line.
Sure. Well, I think the standard battle line is the runts.
No, I'm saying, but they still aren't tagged with generic, right? So in other words, they're not battle line. Everybody in this army is battle line if.
Yeah, maybe.
You get what I mean?
Except for the heroes, right?
Because they're all going to be behemoths base, and that's got to be erased, right, by the battle line thing, so you can break the behemoth rules.
Right.
So but for some fun here, I did go through and collect all of the old rumor engines that I thought fit these guys. So specifically, hold on,
Are we gonna go through each one or not?
Yeah. Well, so I'll start with this dude. I don't think this guy had any rumor engines on it. Oops, sorry. Yeah, he didn't have any rumor engines that I could see, unless I missed something on him. I couldn't see any on the War Stompa. Okay.
Right.
Can we just talk about how beautiful this skin is, by the way? This is the best skin they've ever done. Look at the folds and the captures here in the knees and the feet. The like catch of the shoulder muscle as he turns and like this ripple happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And yes, the assumption would be my assumption is if you make one of these dudes a hero, then
everything else
becomes battle line. Either these guys or the little old giants, who are going to be like just your fillers for the existing for this range, right?
Yep.
They'll have a place in the army clearly.
Yep.
Okay. So next up is the Kraken Eater. This dude, I love how again turning him. I will say I love that they upped the muscularity of all these dudes.
All of them.
Yeah, like they look stronger. Clearly, there's just one torso, but their legs. Look how much more beefy these dudes' legs are. They're like tree trunks now compared to the old giants.
Yep.
Right. Yep. The old giants had really weedy arms and really weedy legs.
Yeah, like I don't mind the gut if it's compensated by big arms, big legs.
Right, exactly. Like these dudes, we've moved more into a build I actually enjoy.
Yep.
One that I aspire to, what I'll call the Charlemagne. Okay.
Okay.
So famously, Charlemagne was like this warrior king, right? And the description of him was like he had been a soldier and he had fought for years and he was incredibly muscular and powerful, right? He was
Right.
this, but he had also then become a king and so had lived a good life and had developed like a significant gut, right? So
Right.
he had a belly, but on top of it sat a bunch of muscularity. Like he was still
Right.
strong and still active. He just liked to eat. So like he was often described as being this like beast of a man, right?
Right.
And so I always loved that kind of concept of
Sure.
just like a bunch of muscularity sitting over like a very muscular dude with a little bit of belly, a little bit of little tum tum. The Kraken Eater, I think, has two rumor engines on him, and I don't think we can see either in this picture except a slight bit.
You think the rudder?
So here, yep, I think this is on his back. Okay,
Yep.
so this is the rudder piece, the bottom,
Yep.
and then oops, sorry, so it's this direction, and then this is the top, right? So this is the ship,
Yeah.
the
Yep.
top square piece. I think we're looking at the other side.
They did say
Of
that a
this.
ship is on his back.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So it makes sense that this piece plus this piece, and it's funny as I was looking back through
River engines.
the rumor engines multiple times now, with the benefit of hindsight, right? Multiple times they would do like the same piece of a model, but they would split it into like two sections like this. So you would get one image that
Okay.
was the top part and one image that was the bottom. They did
Yeah.
it with the Mind Stealer's Franks, where they showed you like the front and then immediately around to his side.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so like it was just funny.
So they
looking-
look at something and it'd be like, okay, I can snap multiple shots of this for future rumor.
Right. And then you could, if you connected them, you'd actually see a bunch of the model.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't know that until you have the benefit of hindsight.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, obviously this guy's fantastic with the put together cannons as a club. Good callback on the scaled arm. That was obviously
Yep.
one of the choices in the old giant.
Yep.
That's what I've got on my giant right here. He's got his little scaled arm. So yeah, I dig this guy. Although I think he's my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I am less like he is less enticing to me now that he just looks normal. Like when he was all barnacle-y in that one, like
Sure.
like
Yeah,
that was a lot more interesting to me than like just like big dude in a Speedo.
Yep.
Which
No, I
is
get
what
it.
we get here. Like I just in fishnets, literally. No, I wish that yeah, I don't know. But that said, I think he has some of the best potential, as like even Eddie said, of like putting him in an IDK army.
Oh,
We'll
sure.
talk about that. And that's some of the interesting stuff to me is how do these get played out then, in other armies.
Absolutely. And then finally, I think we have my favorite. I love this guy. This is amazing. So this is the Siege Breaker.
Yep.
This hammer is one of the rumor engines. It is this thing right here.
Yep.
Right, so you can see the rope, and it's just out of frame, but you can actually see the little spiky bits, kind of a little bit dangling off the side.
Yep.
So this is the bottom of his hammer.
Yep.
So that's cool. There was I think they actually showed a couple others, but I couldn't find them, and just like it's a lot of posts to search through, by the way. So I think he might have actually one more on him. And there's also this like boom, boom, boom. Oh, here you go. So yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. The rudder thing that we said was a rudder. I apologize. Somebody corrected me, and you're absolutely right. This is actually on this giant. Thank you, everyone, for correcting me. I'm sorry. This is the gatebreaker.
Yep.
He has this piece as his belt buckle, but they photoshopped out the giant behind him.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry about that. I knew I saw it. I just when I was collecting all these, I was like looking at all the giants and quickly scrolling, and I saw this one matched up, and then I forgot where I saw it. So thank you, everybody. So yeah, this is great. Obviously, the various the big gate piece as his cod piece, I guess, or whatever we want to call it. Yeah.
As his loin guard.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's the mask that makes this dude, right? It's the Executioner mask.
It is, although, man, do I love that tombstone on his belt.
This dude is fantastic. And somebody's asking, did they always have 4 fingers and toes? Yes, they've always had 4 fingers and toes. Gargants only have 4 fingers and toes. They're like cartoon people. That is a classic thing.
So I am seeing 2 people in his hand. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, you can see 2 people in his hand. They have a zoom in shot they actually shared out, or somebody shared out. But this is one guy, and you can see his arms coming up here, like arm 1, arm 2, and then here's second guy, arm 1, arm 2, and his legs.
Yep.
So
yeah. Is that a Skaven doom bell?
it's some kind of bell. I don't know what it's off of. It actually looks more like the Warcry bell.
Yeah, it
does like the doom bell.
Yep.
So, we should talk about the construction of these guys. Like, that is to say, how we know they work. So, yes, this is a single kit. Yes, it does build all 3. I think this is the whole army. This is it. Like, there's no additional kit to come.
No, it's 1 box.
It's 1 box. It's a 1-box army.
This is the Knight army.
Yeah, it's Imperial. It's Imperial Knights, exactly like we said, right?
Yep.
And you will clearly, much like the Steam Tank Commander or the Stegadon Chief, my guess is you'll basically nominate, or the actual Imperial Knights, the way it works in their book is you kind of can nominate one to be your hero and a general. And so I would guess you do the same thing here, and then they probably gain some extra abilities, much like all of those aforementioned behemoth things do when they become heroes.
Yep.
And we know that you can build a whole army out of these guys and the existing giant kit. So again, Imperial Knights and Armigers.
Those horns?
Yeah.
That's a Wardroth beetle.
No, that's the Wardroth beetle horns are so big.
Zoom in on it. You think I'm kidding? I'll put money that that's a Wardroth beetle. Those are beetle, like that's a beetle.
Yeah, I mean it's the same shape. It's clearly a baby version of that thing. Like my point is, it's not the same size as Alariel's beetle.
No. She has a full-grown one.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, this is like a juvenile he killed, sure. But no, good call. And
by the way, the not to interrupt your rules, the C one has a dragon's neck scales on his left wrist. Which is amazing. So
yes, much like sort of standard Imperial Knights before the introduction of the Dominus class, you'll effectively have 2 kits making this army, right? So you've got these guys representing the full Imperial Knights and the little giants representing the Armigers. When I said a 1-kit army, what I mean is this is your new kit, right? You can build it completely like this. Much like you could run a full army, you don't need Armigers, right?
Yep.
You can run an army completely out of Imperial Knights. I would assume it's the same here. That's why I disagree, Anthony. He said that I think all 3 of these are heroes and the Ale Guzzlers will become battle line. I just don't think so. There's not enough. Like, one, that's not a great way that you would want to design this army, I suspect. Because you want these guys to be able to take multiples of them, and you don't want all heroes in these dudes. That being said, okay, let's say they go that direction. I don't know.
The world, like from a design standpoint, it's not the end of the world if they go that way. There's somebody had said in the comments that there's rumors that these guys are they're reboxing the small Gargants to be 2 in a box.
Sure.
And that's completely plausible to me. Again, going back to Knights, so like the Armigers.
Mm-hmm.
And if those were battle line, like there's lots of build options for those Gargants.
Yep. So
like I don't hate that. And I would love an army of like 2 of these and then 12 little guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, right? So, sorry, everybody. Yeah. I'll shrink my box. If somebody said I was covering up some of the images, thank you. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that per se. It would just be the less fun option because then you would always be forced to take the tiny weedy ones, right? And I just what I would much prefer to see is
unless even the heroes become battle line in a
Sure, where they're both heroes and battle line at the same time.
Right.
Something we haven't actually seen before, where they're literally occupying both slots.
Well, you're saying leader. No, they would just be leaders that become battle line, and you just retain the hero keyword and their battle line. Yep. And they could do that, and that wouldn't be the end of the world because you're not going to get more than like 4 of these guys in an army, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. And I would imagine we'll see a rules rewrite on the Ale Guzzler Gargant scroll, of course,
Yep.
to go with this. One has to imagine that's going to change and stop being useless, so that'll be exciting. I would also imagine none of these dudes look like drunken idiots that are just falling over every 2 seconds, so I would very much not expect to see that rule. If you want to ruin this entire release for me, GW, put that rule on all these scrolls and watch how
No.
quickly I sour.
No, not on all these scrolls. You just put it in the allegiance abilities.
Look, I don't have a problem with it if it's an allegiance ability I can turn on.
Sure.
All right?
Sure.
If it's like you
Heavy
can
drinker.
sure, like you can get them drunk and then they get this list of bennies, but this downside happens. I'll be like, cool, never using that rule. Done. Right?
Yep.
Easy. Or I'll only use it if I have like charge rerolls or something like that, right?
I see a lot. Yeah, sorry. Let's go back. So let's talk about it. Okay, so we know that it's going to have its own allegiance, but they also said that these can be included in any army. So you know what's funny about this?
Any army. You can include one of these big mega giants in any army. Yes.
So you know what's hilarious about this?
Sure.
A lot of people are really surprised by this. You clearly haven't been watching our show because we reported this last month.
Yep.
We did. We reported that these will be the first gold faction. And guess what, folks? Ta-da! Now, when we were talking about gold faction, we were talking like, in general, Vince and I, when we were talking about that, we were talking about something that the entire army can be any allegiance. It seems like if these guys are their own allegiance or destruction, but they can be included in any army.
Yeah, they're more like mega mercenaries.
Yeah, they're like mega mercenaries, right? That's exactly right. So, like, maybe this isn't technically our first gold faction, but it is they can be included in any army.
Yeah. So it will be. I mean, obviously, these are the three. And one thing we should say here is, as with the classic giant, one has to imagine that in fact you can build out a ton of different things here, right? Because all these bits are very interchangeable.
Yep.
So this is going to be a very dynamic kit. And you can see how the torso is changing based on sort of
what they are.
Yeah, like based on kind of how you position.
My question is how do they do heroes?
The heads.
If they have a hero build in each one, it makes me wonder if the hero thing is linked to the head, maybe. Because if torsos are going to be the same, because they're not going to include 6 torsos.
No, there'll be one. There, you can see it's all the same torso, and by the way, all the same legs. Like if you look, they're all the same legs and the same. They just like if you just look at the legs, they're all the same legs. Okay. Now the feet are different. Notice how this foot is different than this guy's foot, and that would be the same for the old giant, right? The existing giant had one set of legs and one torso, but then like different feet, different hands, different arms, different heads, and then a bunch of accoutrements to make those things decorated, right? And I would expect to see the same thing here.
How much of a miss is it that the stomper isn't actually stomping?
Well, look, he can. I think that's left up to us. You can have him crushing something all you want. So there you go. I do wonder. I agree. I just like Paul mentioned. I wonder if there are more heads. I like the old kit had 5 heads in it. I think off the top of my head.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I could see them have 6 heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they did a hero build and a non-hero build.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the heroes all had head things on their heads. So, for example, we see the Gatecrasher have the hood.
Yep.
I wonder if there's a Gatecrasher without a hood.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
And that's how they designate like who are the leaders? They're the ones with things on their heads.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, this is just a super exciting release. This is what I've been waiting for since we first saw that Sons of Bahamut battalion 5 years ago now. Yep. This is what I've wanted. This is what I dreamed about. So
I mean, I remember you begging for this army.
Yeah. I've been on about this for a long time. So this I literally could not get these soon enough. I would if there was some miracle where where I could just be like, you can pay double, but they'd show up tomorrow. I'd be like, all right, I'll probably do that.
Well, I'm just going to say this, GW. You know, if you're watching, I know that you pass kits off to professional painters to do preview stuff occasionally. This might be one that Vince would be willing to paint up for you for the community's sake.
I will openly say I would be willing to paint one of these. Yeah, you want to throw a giant my way? I'll take one. That's right. Look, I'm not above that. Okay, that's not even a little bit. Give me that giant, and I'll get you a good painted giant. I love this. Is like, you know how much I love painting skin tone.
I know you do.
And so
Yeah.
this is a dream come true for that.
I'm excited to see your non-skin.
Yes, it sounds like Tom's kids are visiting, and yes, I'm very excited about this one. So, it's just all in all great. They still use the old Johann as we see here in the preview video.
Yep.
The
Yep.
question is, do we have a new Johann? That remains the great question.
I mean, of course we do. We have to.
I sincerely hope so. I have now I will say I have a stockpile of extra Johanns.
Okay.
As well as like I have a stockpile because I bought a bunch of giant kits, homie. When I say I have a giant army already, I'm not joking. As I said, I've got like 10 giant kits, and I used a bunch of these bits for other things. Like I used to use the pieces as conversions on rat ogres and stuff like that. Not the so I've used these things all over the place. So I've got a bunch of the cages which I've used multiple bits of, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love the giant kit in general, and I'm so excited to have a new kit with all these amazing bits. Because if you just look at this guy, okay, like let's just really for a moment here talk about the bits, because again, the great value of the giant has always been the bits, right? So on the Kraken Eater, you have his shark bone necklace here, right?
Yep.
You have this entire boat piece on his back. That's the rumor engine with the dead corpse. You've got the cannon club, the arm with the scales, this net piece over his gut, along with its hanging ball pieces here. You have this entire net he's fished out of stuff, right? You've got the extra feet with like gladiator sandals, tentacles, skulls. Okay, we look at the next guy at the Siegebreaker. Basically, none of those same things have been used. Right. Different arm guards.
They very intentionally like have a bunch of signature bits that will like that read the different types of giants.
Yep. Exactly. So there's just like, if you think like, well, I built this guy, the Siegebreaker one, right? Or Gatebreaker, sorry.
Yep.
I built this guy. Okay, cool. That means I have all of this as extra. And all of this is extra.
Yeah.
Right? It's just so much stuff you're going to have in this kit for customization.
Right. Like that bag with a bunch of people in it. Like if you're not building them, like I can just imagine hanging those from buildings.
100%, dude. Yes. Yeah. So this is just beyond awesome.
Imagine a tree, like a Nurgle tree, which is like squat with a bunch of arms going out a bunch of directions. And just like hanging a bunch of those bags, all rotating a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
So that it doesn't look like you've replicated the same bit. Like, there's so much potential.
Yep. As Nigel Mills just mentioned it, I will say to this. Yes, Nigel, I did see that. He said they talked about the city army that I built, and they did the community article for yesterday, before the show began, before the previews. And I just wanted to say thank you to Adam Troke and to Eddie. That was very nice to comment on that. He was very complimentary of the army, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you, gentlemen, both. That was super cool, and I appreciate the shout out. So that was a really fun article to write and do. I've loved making that army. So thank you to everybody who liked the article. And there's a tutorial up today about how I did the rush streaking on that if you want to see that. So there you go. All right. So, I mean, this out of 10, Tom, what's your number here? Personal aesthetic rating.
Personal aesthetic. I think they're like an 8.
Okay. I'm obviously at a hot 10. This maxes the scale for me, right?
Yeah. So what's a miss for me, by the way, is that they all just look like dudes.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I could have went with a little bit more fantastical, and so it's so funny from me.
I know,
coming from me, who has been so critical of like the weird AOSification of standard factions.
Mm-hmm.
like who elves, I'm like, elves, I don't like what they did, or I don't like this aspect. And like this just felt too safe.
Well, it's funny because we had a big conversation about that, right? So Snowfight said, first time seeing these, how big are these models? Here, I'll scroll back down,
Huge.
Snow, so you
They're
can see.
huge.
Yeah, this is the comparison. They're on a 130. This is the normal. I have a little size comparison for you here. You won't be able to see it super well. Here's the normal giant. Here is a Gale Force 9 giant that's about the same height. So that's how big theoretically they will be. Because this guy comes up to about the same place on this guy as this little image shows.
They said on the stream that they are Archeon sized.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that, but maybe that's just my own bias with how big my Archeons are.
Yes, yeah, sure.
And for those curious, let's see,
which is height wise, I think Archeon is normally about 13 inches. And what that might suggest is that they're about 13 inches, 12 to 13 inches.
And I just don't buy that. I think they're going to be 8 to 10. I really do based on that. So let's do a little math here, okay? The existing giant, his head is about 4.5 inches tall. Okay, so this right here is about 4.5 inches. Like I'm literally laying it on my mat right now, measuring it out, and it's about 4.5 inches tall. Okay.
Yep.
So if this guy is this tall, then he's about 8. He's about 8. Right? Yeah. I don't have Archeon in front of me to go measure, so I don't know.
I think Archeon's normally around 12 to 13 from like wingtip. Like
probably at the wingtips, not at the head. Yes.
Not at the head. Yeah, he might be 8 inches at the head. I'm not sure.
So at any rate, they're real big. Now, to return to the aesthetic thing, it's funny because you and I had a big conversation about this and the concept of like sacred cows. Yep. And to you, the elves have this sacred cow nature, and so seeing them altered in a dramatic way.
Apparently now.
I don't mean that in any negative connotation. I'm just
sure.
It's just the turn of phrase, right?
Yep.
And whereas giants are wide open. My answer though is, when I think about something like this, these are going to be so ripe for conversion. Any army like this where you have 4 to 5 models, you can go nuts. And these guys are a big giant canvas that you will be able to modify the living bejeezers out of. Not just with the bits in the kit, but in general.
Sure. And I don't discount that at all. It's just very surprising to me. That's why, and that's the difference for me between the 8 and the 10, is because it seemed like it was so ripe for development and exploration, and we just got giants.
Sure. Hey, which is what I wanted. So
I know. Well, I'm glad you got what you want, Vince.
Indeed. Well, speaking of something, let's move on. I mean, we could sit here and talk about giants forever, but
sure.
There you go.
Yep.
So the so we had this little Blackstone Fortress thing.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
These little drones, little spindle drones. That's cool. Warhammer Quest. I haven't played any of Blackstone Fortress. Seems cool. I like all the figs. These continue to be great figs. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've been staring pretty hard at Blackstone Fortress for a while. I don't know what this heralds, because what they kind of alluded to was the fact that
there are implications here not only for the Blackstone Fortress but for the wider universe. Yeah, sure.
Well, yes, but I was going to say that this is the culmination adventure that they've published here, which might suggest that they're not going to publish more Blackstone Fortress content.
Sure.
And which may mean that when that happens, oftentimes they'll pull things from the market, not within 6 to 12 months.
Sure.
This could
so
be
maybe this time next year, right? Yeah.
This time the next year, this product may not be available. And so for me, when I see this, it makes me want to go, okay, well, if I want this, I'm going to need to make decisions now. To pick up this expansion and to pick up the other expansions. I have loved the aesthetic of this game. And I hope that I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, I agree. This has been super popular because they've managed to do a bunch of expansions for it, right?
Right. They have I know they have Amble and a couple others. They have 3 or 4 expansions at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just been something that I'm excited because they made a second Warhammer Quest AOS version. I'm wondering if they're gonna move towards another 40K one, at some point. Regarding the wider kind of exploration of the and by the way, I think there are multiple builds of these guys.
Okay.
like there's two here, but in the one image, one of them had a bunch of bullet holes near the eye, like on one of the zoom in pans. And so I think there's different faceplates that you can build these guys as. As an aside. The other thing I was going to say is I think that what you're seeing here, by the way, is a new faction.
Oh, that'd be neat.
I think that what they're teasing here, like the sentience of the Blackstone Fortresses, I think what we're going to find is that they're probably like dormant motherships of this, like of this new.
Oh, like it wakes up and becomes a new army when it releases all of the force within it. Yeah, sure, that'd be neat.
Yeah,
I would dig that.
Yeah, and what we'll find is that there are many Blackstone Fortresses,
right?
And they're basically like all in network tandem. And so what you're going to get is you're going to get a new, basically pure robot army.
You know what? One of the sure,
which they don't have. Like,
well, I mean, yes, because the Necrons are, and yes, I know what I just said. Are different. Obviously, they are robots, but they're not. They're Terminators in a different way.
And because of the renewed significance of Blackstone, right? Like and they talk about that later in the Psychic Awakening reveal, and the null properties of it. Mm-hmm. I think all this narratively for them is all related. I think it's all tied together.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about the Blackstone Fortress in general is that it actually gives you a chance to see the other stuff in the universe that isn't the big armies. And they, like Eddie mentioned this in the show, that there's a lot of corners of the Warhammer 40k universe that there's just not enough to make an army out of. We talked about it. We'll talk about it later in relation to the Inquisitors, right?
Yep.
And the things like the Fortress or the special models or the Psychic Awakening gives them a chance here and there to explore that stuff. And it's funny because I actually agree. Like, I don't like any 40k armies. I find them all to be just not interesting. Okay.
Right.
Exempting the Sisters of Battle, of course.
Right.
The general lore of the most popular things that have been around forever, like the Space Marines and orcs and stuff like that, I just find it all pretty non-interesting.
Wholly uninteresting to you.
Yeah, to me personally. That's not a judgment, by the way, on the quality of it. There's a lot of great writers doing great stuff, and a lot of people love it, and that's cool. Love what you love. But I find the other things, these other little elements...
Like the Xenos, like the small corners of the world.
Yes.
Not the main thrust of the stuff, but the small corners.
Yes, the Inquisitors and the Rogue Traders and that kind of stuff is just super cool to me.
Yep.
That's
Agreed.
the kind of weird stuff I love. I want to understand, how the
world works.
Yeah.
How the universe works. That's not Space Marine battles.
Yes. Yes, like it's such a massive, massive thing. And it's not chaos, right? That is to say, that is to say there is some organization here and bureaucracy and steps and things and levels and I'm fascinated by this society and the fact it's functioning. I want to, it's my own weird thing, but I want to know, what does their economic system look like? Like, how are they trading? How does, yes, I understand how ships and rogue traders and stuff like that. I get all that. But, is there an international monetary fund? How's that work? And it just,
right.
Who's giving out loans? I'm just fascinated by that.
Billions of worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway.
No, I agree with that. And it's fascinating to me. And I think that, I'm interested to see how this develops.
Yeah.
Because this is a product that I would buy. I don't think I would ever try to buy a Warhammer 40k army just because it's not where my heart's at.
Right.
I'm an AOS a fantasy guy, but I could be in for more small scale stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's self-contained.
Yep.
I went in on Kill Team and it was interesting to me, but it was just so unending and so sprawling of a product line that it wasn't something that I could get behind. But this, I could get behind this.
Right. It's a very self-contained thing.
Yep.
All right. So next up, we got another Lumineth preview. Specifically, we got to see this girl in her entirety for the first time,
which seemed kind of accidental.
It almost felt like it, right? Like they just kind of was like boom and brought it up, and it was like, oh,
well, okay. Somebody was like, Elven
I guess
aesthetic.
We're looking at this thing.
Yeah, Elven aesthetic. I guess that was the keyword. Mm-hmm. Somebody triggered upon the accidental topic change, phrase. It was hilarious. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There she is.
I
did not realize until we got this full image that not only does she have a completely insane hat like all Lumineth,
But
Which this is a new level of insane hat, by the way.
but does she? But does she? Look at the one pan. Is it really a hat?
I understand what you're saying because you're saying it comes out of her back piece here.
Back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But it's
Yeah,
over her head.
You know
So
what that
I'm calling
says
it
to
a
me?
hat.
That's getting snipped.
Well, it's so funny because yes, this belt piece, she adds a new layer. I'm calling this a hat. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Like, but not only does she have an insane hat, she also has an insane belt. Like this is a
Right.
belt like
She is definitely not going through doors normally.
yeah.
She has to turn sideways.
Well, how does she sit down? It's got to be very awkward, depending on like keep her away from couches. She'll tear a hole in those. No, I mean like
I have so many jokes that are inappropriate that I'm just gonna hold off on.
I'll tell you the thing that occurred to me. It's actually not the hat or the helmet thing, because like okay, cool, she puts this little weird regalia on to go to battle. Jokes about doors aside, right?
Sure.
Like I'm super fine with her having weird this sort of funny regalia that she wears into battle because yes, obviously if she was just walking around her house, she wouldn't have this sort of thing on, right?
Yep.
What was actually funny to me is that all I could think the whole time I look at this model makes me uncomfortable. Okay?
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out what it was until I realized it's this. She's wearing this like gossamer veil,
Yeah.
and she's also carrying a smoking chalice of something that's burning, like incense or whatever.
Her veil is blowing into the chalice.
Into the chalice. Yeah, I was like, whoa, wait, you're gonna light your face on fire. Like, this feels like material that would go up like a shot if it hit heat, right?
Yes.
Like, if you've ever seen these gossamer things get touched by fire, they just go woof, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so all I could think was, oh no, she is going to light her face on fire. Like, if the wind relaxes for a second or she changes position, that is just woof, her head's gone.
Yes. No, you're not wrong. So things that caught my eye, right? Because I've been staring at the iconography and stuff like this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
The rune on her headpiece is new.
Oh, cool.
So that center rune,
mm-hmm.
In the big moon thing, is a new rune, and I don't think it's in any of the. Not on Teclis's belt. And so that's striking to me, in that it's invoking new imagery.
Sure.
The other thing that I picked up, and we've seen it repeatedly, I think all of the elves in this army will have their hair braided. You can see it in the chalice. You can actually see her hair, the tail end of her hairpiece, and so it looks like her main hair is braided, and like a long braid runs down her back, assumedly. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how to respond to this model.
Sure.
Like, it's fine.
I'll say one way I'll respond is that the heavy metal team certainly did a really good paint job on this. I think that this is excellently, beautifully painted. So that is a thing.
I think she has very meaty hands and feet.
Okay. I mean, they seem pretty normal. I don't know.
Do they?
Yeah, by the scale of what we normally have hands and feet sized at, yeah.
So does your hand, like if you were to make a fist, from the bottom of your hand to the top of your top knuckle,
mm-hmm. It's larger. I'm not going to say it's at scale, but
does it run your chin to eyes? Because this one does.
Sure, I understand. Classically, Warhammer models have had larger hands and feet. I mean, we're not talking about Tomb King skeletons here. Okay?
I mean, not far off. So there are aspects of it that just simply feel disproportionate.
Gotcha.
And I think the feet and the hand that's gripping the necklace, and the toe, like the feet and toes, feel disproportionate. Now, I don't know if they will when I have the model in hand.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's just a factor of, because it like some of the brightest things on the model is the skin here, that it's grabbing my eyes, but they're just so heavy that they're literally pulling my hands. Yeah, as Crazy Horse said, as Anthony said, they're almost Hobbit-like.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know how to respond to that. Like, it's, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, there you go.
Yeah,
but hey,
I
we
mean,
got to see this model for the full time, so that's cool.
yeah. It makes me wonder the way they've kind of talked if there's more models to this range. Like I know I've been saying that there's not, but the way that they were talking on air seemed to suggest that there might be even more.
Sure. One has to guess that there's this is, by the way, the Skadari Cathalar or something like that. I don't know if I they have a pronunciation guide down at the bottom of the article. And the other thing we should say about her is they said that her
Sin Ari, Cath Olar.
oh, there you go, Sin Ari, thank you.
Yep.
So at any rate, she weaponizes emotion is what they described.
Right, and she forces other people to take the battle shock tests of the elves, of what the elves
yes.
would have.
Yes. Now, what exactly that
Somehow.
means, who knows?
Yes. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what that looks like?
Right.
Yeah. And if this is an elite army, like you're not going to lose a whole bunch of models.
Sure. Now, aesthetically, I do like that she's barefoot. I think that's actually a good call because, as somebody mentioned, she's trying to be in touch with the realm, right? It's to keep her the mage who's the most in contact with it. There's no material separating her from the realm itself.
From the realm. No, yeah. Yep.
So,
Agreed.
So it's a nice little design aesthetic. But yes, I do agree she has high feet.
I will say that, like, from a design aesthetic standpoint, I really like the rune on her belt.
Yeah, here.
And how it mirrors her headpiece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is eye catching. And from a model balance standpoint, as much as I joke about like snipping off the headpiece, you'd have to literally modify the belt as well.
Well, you just slice right here, and then cut off the piece that's sticking into the back because it's going to be a join like this into the back, right?
Yep.
You just don't do that, putty that piece, boom, done. I mean, if you don't like the belt and the headpiece, it really would be incredibly easy to change. Like, this is not a difficult
conversion.
Right. Yeah, not at all. Yeah, cool. Okay, next up. Oh boy, did not see this coming, and yet
this made me happy.
Oh yes, my friend. So we've been talking on the show multiple times when rumor engines came up. We said it's either an Underworlds thing, or you know what? Maybe we're going to get some new non-chaos Warcry warbands.
Yeah.
Even though we had no evidence that that was ever going to happen, we multiple times,
right,
or that was possible, right? We said that would occur, and guess what? Boom shakalaka, the Cainite Shadowstalkers. Which, by the way, clearly we haven't seen all of them, as there is a witch elf-looking girl right here in the silhouette, and she is none of these. And they also mentioned that we're going to see 3 of them here. And they said most of these come in about a dozen. Well, they don't. They come in 8 to 10. But okay. Yeah. So doing the math, there's 10 to 12 of these girls, right?
Yes.
Or of these of this faction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so obviously this one pulls on some of the aesthetic of the Mistweaver say.
Yeah.
However you say it.
Yeah. Say. Like, so this is what I'm going to say. I love everything about this release.
There was the rumor engine that matched it, by the way. We did have the rumor engine for this one.
I knew we had something special as soon as the Warcry trailer came up. And you know what signaled it for me?
I'm ready.
The purple.
Oh, okay. Sure.
See, because up until this point, all of our videos for the Warcry releases have had red trim.
Red, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and so I think that this is signaling the next quote season of releases.
Yeah.
With the purple. I don't know that the whole branding is going to change for books and everything, but I think that like when I saw that red or that purple, I knew we had something different.
Right. This is so great. Like, this model is freaking fantastic, right? Like, I mean, I love the hook of this thing we saw in the rumor engine coming through the weapon, sort of trailing the shadow, melding into the cloak. Like, all of it just being one smooth circular piece is gorgeous. Let's take a look at some of the other figures. So here's our cloaked figure, whipping out. So you know, clearly like throwing the shadow cloak emerging from it with a knife in their hand, looking very cool. And then we've got always my personal favorite aesthetic. I've played this D&D character, the double hand crossbow wielder, right? They're double repeating crossbows in this case. But I love it. I love that. I just love the aesthetic of the gunslinger and the multiple Just it's great. It's freaking great. These are all three of these male?
I know at least two of them are.
It's kind of hard. Like this is clearly male.
The Shadowstalker popping out of the cloak is the only one I am unsure about.
Okay, so you're saying this is definitely a male.
Which one? The face shield guy?
Yeah, the face shield. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a male. So here's what I'm going to say. Yes, and that's what I was going to comment on as well. I love to see what Marathi has done with all of our dudes.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
If they're not riding shirtless, riding horses shirtless, casting spells, then their dudes are out here, which would suggest that all like maybe this is where the other male, like where their other wizards are, right?
Sure.
Because in the lore for Daughters of Cain, your ladies are all your warrior, your choppy choppies, and all the wizards are snake people,
right?
And
exempting, of course, your
Doompire warlocks. Yep. And so, like now, what we're seeing more dudes using magic, and they're doing the shadow stuff, and I just love it. I love everything about this release, this launch, this tease. Like it's just, I love how it ties back with the Mistweaver. We're beginning to learn maybe what some of her allegiances were.
Sure, and again, as I said many times, a long time ago there was a Magic set release called Plane Shift, and the first first big set was the past, where they reprinted a bunch of old cards into the set. Mm-hmm. And then the second set was the present and played with time in weird ways, right? So shifting around the present. And the third set was called Farsight, and it was the weirdest set because it was a bunch of one-off cards that had mechanics that would literally only appear on one card because they were future shifted, right, from some future set. Some of those cards were literally things that they took out of an upcoming release that was 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets away and already in development, and they threw them in. Some of them were just guesses, right?
Yeah, and have never come back yet.
And never come back again. Exactly. And so the thing to realize with what happened with Warhammer Quest and the Mistweaver is that that doesn't have, like, they didn't make that, most likely, as we've seen at this point, as part of some grandiose plan.
No.
They were thinking, like, okay, this is a cool aesthetic. This is something we might want to explore. This is probably a test model or a test sculpt for something. Let's see how it looks. And then when they had the chance to expand this, they can now go back and sort of plumb that, right? And say, okay, now we can tie that together.
This one looked like a merger between the Tenebral Shard, like, aesthetic. So if, like, look at the leather pants on the double crossbow guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, this harkens to the Tenebral Shard and to the Mistweaver.
Right.
And, you know, it makes me laugh that the one wizard here with the staff, I mean, I don't know if he's wizard or not, but, like, has the moon iconography as well. Like, of Teclis. Like, womp, womp, womp.
Sure.
Sorry, Teclis. Well, not only that, hold on, actually.
Okay.
I want to see something. Okay. So the cross rune on that staff on the wizard.
Yes, this right here.
is remarkably similar to the new rune that I just called out on the headpiece. So, something to think about.
Sure. Okay. I think this one's actually a female. Let me just say, there's other people in the comments saying as much, and I tend to think the same, but we'll see.
Maybe
it's always kind of tough to tell with some of these elf models, and that's fine, especially when we can't 360 them. Don't care either way, to be completely honest. I dig the heck out of all these. I can't wait to see the rest. Like the fact that we have, potentially at least 7 more sculpts from this army coming. Or sorry, this Warcry Warband. Apologize.
Let me just say, this reinforces to me that we have another another Daughters book coming.
Oh, you think that ultimately they would release this in line with an additional Daughters book?
I think a Daughters book is probably was. Let me say was. I don't know that it still is. Was coming down later this year, this fall, is what I predicted. And this would maybe suggest that indeed, like, it is coming, and that this would be these would maybe be included in that book.
It would make sense.
Much like, we've seen similar things.
Yeah, I think Doc has been. We've talked many times about the how that army is a house of cards that somehow has like a really sharp knife perched on top of it, right?
Right.
And that it is really ripe for a remake with a modern sensibility.
Yep.
So I would love to see a new Daughters of Cain book. Obviously, it might make me want to play my Daughters of Cain again.
Sure. Let me just say, actually, looking at my bookshelf, it struck me the other day that there are 4 books that we've talked about how are in this weird middle place,
where they switched the
Yep.
spine and to the new logo,
but they didn't fully switch the spine, and this is what struck me. So they had the new logo with the new coloration, which is like the wider binding with the new Age of Sigmar like branding.
Yep.
But at the bottom, they have the old hammer from the first edition book. And so if you have all the the second edition stuff on a bookshelf, as I do, when I look at it, I can see the 4 books that are in that in between season.
Yeah, sure.
Which are Daughters of Cain, Ideneth Deepkin, Legions of Nagash, and Magakin of Nurgle.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the 4 that we've always said have been in this weird spot. Even the books themselves like call out to that in their where they show that they are bridging this gap between editions.
Yep.
So.
She's gorgeous, and again, they did a great job. I love the face mask; it looks wonderful. That is so Cobra Commander.
Yes.
Will she have a special ability to call a retreat and everybody jumps into the shadows and disappears? One can only hope.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
Retreat. All right,
and maybe they continue the Daughters of Cain tradition of the heroes being buried in other people's boxes.
Sure.
Where this is an actual hero and you have a bunch of normie troops in the box.
Sure.
When the book finally releases. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll see.
All right. So, cool stuff there. We had these little dudes for Blood Bowl. I'm not a Blood Bowl player, but I will say, Tom, you have to admit these are adorable.
I saw that and I was like, oh, the pump wagon.
Yep.
I grinned ear to ear. I wish, as soon as I saw this drop, I was just like, oh, be still my heart. Because I remember when I got into Warhammer, one of my first armies was ONG, right?
Yep, sure.
And I was wanting to convert everything, and I was trying to find a pump wagon, and there just wasn't a good option at all. And then I saw this, when I saw until I had my own conversions, and I was actually just going through my own G bits yesterday, and I found all of my old pump wagon stuff, and I'm just like, man, I just wish there was something like this in AOS. And boom, done. I love it. I love that we have this new plastic model that we could convert over and move into, and have some fun out of.
Yep. Yeah.
And I love all of the Grotlings, they are so characterable, and that continues in this.
These are such wonderful, adorable sculpts. Yes, the guy just throwing a rock, wearing a pseudo wizard hat. Where's I want to find one of these guys. This dude who has an oversized sock on. He has one sock.
Yes.
Right, and it's clearly from a bigger being. But then also we have it's another guy with a sock on his head. The ball that he's riding, this sort of proto squig, that seems very concerned about this situation that he finds himself in. The fungus flinger guy here, the dude on stilts. I mean, these are just adorable. So yes. This shows the power of Blood Bowl and how Blood Bowl can be fun, and this is the kind of thing I love.
My favorite is the guy that took the normal wizard hat and has sewn a nose and chin on, like the standard Moon Clan. I'm in the process, you guys can't see this. I'm in the process of assembling a Warcry Squig Hopper warband. And so, I'm very sensitive to the nose and chin aesthetic that they that is just completely repeated throughout the range, and I love that it's like teased out here in a bunch of very subtle ways.
Right. It should be noted that these guys are going to be so small. Like
So
these are
so tiny.
itty bitty minis. Like these are true minis. They will be little tiny tiny
Those are
things.
those are like on 25 mil bases.
I know, right? Like look how much space there is on that 25 mil.
You know what I can't wait to see is a battle diorama between these grotlings
And halflings
and nurglings.
Oh sure, yeah.
Because these guys are the size of nurglings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's like, that's what a nurgling would look like on a 25 mil base, and it would be the most adorable fight ever.
Absolutely, just the cutest diorama showdown in history.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome stuff. The Blood Bowl team continues to kill it there in Forge World. Next up, we had this dude, Saul Tarvitz. I don't know anything about the Horus Heresy, other than the obvious. Like, I know the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, this guy's an Emperor's Children commander who fought against Horus in one of the first places. Cool.
Yep.
And then he died.
Yep. And then he died.
Okay. Cool stuff. Good for him. Now we have a couple models I am pretty excited for, even though they're 40k. Somebody already mentioned it, and I do agree. I want to steal this Inquisitor for my Whirlwind's Edge army. All right, I want this to be my Empire General on foot. I'll jettison the Shuriken pistol because that's too far gone, right?
Right.
But the rest of the armor actually looks not very Space Marine-y. It does look very plate-y, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I think it would fit great. I love the little dragon creature.
You may need to do something with that. The Power Fist.
Where? Oh, over here? No, you just cut the tubes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's easy. It's what I've done. I've done that a couple times actually with conversions. Like I just got rid of things that look too techy, like extra tubes and stuff going around that which it wouldn't be there. This Inquisitor is so great. As I said earlier, I love the Inquisitors and that whole section of the world, and I think this is a really gorgeous model. Yeah, it's fantastic.
So. I love her. It's funny because these are all part of the Pariah release.
Yeah.
When they've done other releases like this, are these all like a single box with all of these, or are they individual models? I remember with the Gathering Storm, each release would have its own box with a bunch of disparate models together.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm wondering if these guys are going to be in a box with the other Pariah models.
Sure. Like, do you get the Inquisitor and the Necron in the same box? I have no clue. I haven't looked at any of them. None of them.
And the other two from the Pariah box, which was the Sister of Battle, right? The special Pariah one from and the Elf, the Duelist.
I think those two are clearly their own box. They're going to be their own thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm unsure of.
Sure. I don't know. My guess is it'll be individual stuff. So you'll get just the Inquisitor and you'll get just the Necron because they don't make sense. It would be very rare you're buying both of them. And previously, when they did shove multiple models together, they were all still army aligned, right? Yep. Like this was all the Ynnari and this was all the the Imperium guys. So I would have to say that they'll probably be individuals. But yeah, I love this. I want to get this model because she looks honestly quite fantastical. I mean that in the take off the Shuriken pistol. By the way, I love that there's a purity seal on a Shuriken pistol. That's just super awesome. That is a weird clash of ideals in the Imperium, certainly.
Well, it's her stamp of approval.
Absolutely, this gun has been approved. Yes, it's been sanctified. She looks awesome. I really do dig the heck out of her. And then you've got this dude, this big Necron dude, who as well is, by the way, a rumor engine. Let me go ahead and bring that up. Oh, we didn't talk about this. I'm sorry. Hold on. Whoa. Sorry, we got ahead of ourselves here. I forgot. Back. These girls. All right. Other rumor engines that I think will fit in this Warcry warband.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we had this one. I apologize, everyone. I prepped this stuff and then forgot what I was doing because I got so excited about these girls. Okay. So other rumor engines that I think are going to fit here. This one. This is the double-ended dagger thing, like the double-spined dagger thing with the gem.
Yep.
Okay. I think this will be in this force. feels like this kind of shadowy stalker weapon. Might also be a 40k thing, but I hope it shows up here. And what we described as like maybe the Slanesh bowl, but could also be a cane thing of just skulls and kind of a big pot of boiling blood or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this will also show up in this force. Those are my guesses.
Interesting.
Just guesses. So there you go. All right. Sorry, everyone. I wanted to point that out. So let's go back to the Necron guy now. And I'm going to keep saying it that way. This dude is amazing. This is ridiculous. He does have a rumor engine up on his shoulder, which was this little piece of the Blackstone Fortress, this Noctilith or whatever it's called, this psychic dampening rock. And this dude is truly epic. The only thing that makes me sad about this dude is the awful GW metal paints that they're forced to use to paint him. Beyond that, he looks amazing. I love that they even played with a little bit of OSL. There's a picture here where you'll see that. There you go. You can see that where the green beam is shooting out, they actually captured a little bit of it reflecting. This is a horrific, horrific scene of what this guy is doing to this psyker. Good God almighty. That is a nightmare scene. Like, wow. That is gore on a level you don't often get in a lot of figs, despite the fact we're talking about war. That is pretty rough. The way his skin is melting to muscle, is melting to bone, this transition here. Woof. He's good. I dig it. That is fantastic.
Little dark, you know?
It is a little dark, yes.
I mean, it's not as dark as like Brain Rats on Storm Fiends, but it's pretty dark.
Sure. It's dark. Somebody mentioned they want the guy being Connor said I want the guy being drained for his Nagash. Yeah, I can see that, like taking some of that energy and whipping it up into Nagash. Yeah. Because you could use you could get rid of the armor and just use like any kind of body. Just use the arm and the head.
Yeah.
And there you go. And you'd have that. So that's easy. That's an easy peasy conversion. I love the look of this guy's weapon. They did a great job on that. This dude's big, obviously. And I love the walker. You know, he's on 4 legs, right?
Yep.
He's on this little spider walker body. Yeah, this dude's sweet as all get out. Yes, if there was ever a 40k force besides Sisters of Battle that was kind of interesting, it would be the Necrons, just because who doesn't love Terminators, right?
Sure.
Emotionless robots. So then we had a little Hammer and Bolter preview, which is cool. The Sisters of Battle for episode 2, which I'm excited to see all these anime. They mentioned the allusion to Love, Death, and Robots, which obviously that's what this series is going to be like, right? Where every one of these episodes is a completely different animation style, and they'll be short, very punchy stories, right?
Yep.
I liked Love, Death, and Robots. What excited me here, though, was them mentioning that Season 1 is going to be all about 40k, but that they are also exploring doing the Mortal Realms and Age of Sigmar in this for Season 2. So having some Mortal Realms stories in there, which sounds awesome. I would love to see some Mortal Realms animation. That sounds great.
Totally agree.
Make that happen, Andy. Get on it.
I'd love to see explorations of some of the cities, like Excelsius from City of Secrets.
Yeah.
Like, there's just some that, like, I think animation just really lends to some of the really just truly fantastical environments for AOS. So we'll see.
Absolutely agreed. I would honestly love to see one focused, in a city. I would like the interesting places you could explore. I would love to see I'll tell you. All right, here we go, Tom. Let's sketch out 4 episodes of the AOS series. They got to be short. They've got to be punchy, and they have to do something cool and explore something where there's obvious conflict. So you mentioned a city. What do I want to see in the city? Oh, what's your idea in the city? Go ahead.
You have Order of Azir hunting down a Tzeentch cult.
Boom, bang, exactly. Done and dusted. Put that one in the can. That's done. Episode 2. So when the Endless Spells went rogue, right, because of the Necroquake, they mentioned how there are wizard bounty hunters who go out there and actually wrangle these things.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
I want the wizard bounty hunter story, where there's a wizard bounty hunter tracing near the edges of a mortal realm where it's getting wild with magic and things are getting crazy. And I want that one to be the psychedelic episode.
Yeah, and I want him to hunt down a purple sun.
Yes, yeah, like a sentient purple sun. Yeah, absolutely. That's actively dodging him, right?
Ragnar, the purple sun.
Yeah, sure. Episode 3, I want set in the Bloodwind Spoil. Okay.
Okay.
And I want it to be the story of a sort of chaos champion
Yep.
who ends up like who has the standard chaos arc, which
Yep.
is to say he crushes a bunch of people and then falls. You understand? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't mean
Yeah.
falls to chaos. I mean he gets what he wants and it
Yep.
wasn't what he wanted after all. And
Right.
it turns into uh just a horror story once he achieves what he actually he wants, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
would
like a disillusioned. Are you ready for the last one?
I'm ready.
You have a KO operation,
Mm-hmm.
like a shipping operation on a time crunch.
Yeah, sure.
And a wog has blown through.
Okay.
And so they're trying to navigate, like, to get there with like dodging like wyverns, and what ends up happening is you get some of the sky bashes
Sure.
in stolen ships.
Well, see,
And
it's funny because my argument was it's funny you mentioned that. Mine was I love the KO angle.
Yeah.
I would just rather see them fight Skaven. So it's
Okay.
being dogged by evil Skaven technology, right? As they're
Sure,
trying
you
to
could do that.
Yeah.
I like the because it's like I'd want some chaos in there, or not
Sure.
chaos. I'd want some destruction.
I know what you mean.
And so like and to treat the wog like the force of nature, like a hurricane is blown through.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that being like, you know, like they're trying to navigate this and then also deal with these other like pirates, these
Sure.
orky pirates.
So I'll throw out a 5th episode.
Yes. Okay.
One of the most disturbing episodes of Love, Death, and Robots or whatever,
Yep.
right? Was I don't remember its name, but it's the one where the guy ends up on a space station and in the middle of nowhere, and he wakes up and somebody he knew from years ago is there and is like, "Oh, your ship, you jumped through you jumped through light speed wrong, and you ended up here in this space station. This is just kind of like, it happens every so often. People end up out here, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly starts to realize things are wrong. And then she like has to knock him back out and wake him back up again. And the question is, how long has he been living this? And then they go from showing you the beautiful space station that he thinks he's on to the like horrible, insectoid kind of image of what's actually happening in reality. So the difference between what he's perceiving and reality.
Yep.
I would love to see the same
FEC.
concept. No, well, sure. One of 3 things.
Imagine
Yes.
FEC with knights and all that, and then thinking that they're on their noble quest and then going to the
You
glorious
frame the
shore.
whole thing as knights on a noble quest, and then at the end you reveal what's actually going on. Sure, you could do it with FEC. You could do it with Slanesh, right? And have it be somebody who
The
thinks
illusion.
Yes, who have it be somebody who thinks they're doing something great and glorious, and then so the illusion here being, do you remember Marvel's Ultimates? How God, why can't I think of his name? Stupid. He was just in the most recent Spider-Man movie, Fishbowl Head.
Mysterio tricked Wolverine.
Yes, Mysterio tricked Wolverine into killing all the X-Men, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that. So we do that plot, but it's Slanesh sort of tricking somebody into thinking who's really after being the best warrior and bringing down all evil and perfection.
It's clearly a Stormcast, Stormcast Night Quester.
Right. Who then wakes up and sees at the end the horror that they have wrought. Right. Then
a keeper of secrets whispering in its ear.
Yes.
And you cut with it like with the truth being revealed in the keeper.
Yeah, just like that old image of I think it was an elf being licked on the side of the face by the Keeper of Secrets or whatever. Yeah, that's your end shot.
Yeah.
The third option would be you could do the same thing with Tzeentch, right? Where you have a wizard or a builder who thinks they're discovering and amazing things and pushing science, and then it turns out what they've actually been doing is feeding Tzeentch the whole time. The point is, yes, do something like that. That would be amazing. If you're looking for story notes, all of these are more than I freely release all of these to be used. Andy, go ahead, knock yourself out, turn those into real stories. Ideas are worth nothing, scripts are worth everything. So go for it. Turn those into gold. Spin this straw into gold. Okay, and then finally they showed us the new event exclusive models, which we can also order for the next 2 weeks. I actually want to do these in reverse order. So the first was this librarian guy. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, fine. He's in Terminator armor. And then this one, which I don't know if everybody can see this, but hold on, I got to figure out which way I need to move my chair. Nope, see, I'm going exactly the wrong direction.
Yep.
There we go. She's right there. Right there. That's her. This is my poster that hangs in the center of my wall. I have this art print of the Giant Sisters of Battle, of this image, and I love it. It's like it sits behind me in every show. And yes, I absolutely love this image. This is my favorite image of all time from the Sisters of Battle. It is like it's right above the cover of the '92 book cover that John Blanche did, and this girl looks so good. Like this fig looks so good, dude. Oh my god, I want to get this girl so bad. I've always loved how one of the problems I have is that they painted the Bolter this like bronze color, and in here it doesn't feel bronze. It feels so much more beaten and smoky and black. So I don't know. Like that was I looked at it and I was like, oh. Also, I wish they had captured a little more of the. One of the things I love about this art is it has this Vidal Sassoon sheen on the hair so perfectly. Like I would absolutely want to capture that. This is one of the best pieces of art that they did for Sisters ever. It's glorious, and this is I think a great representation of it. So I don't know who sculpted this. Hats off. Sorry, she's going to take some heads off, but hats off to whoever sculpted this on the team. I think you did an amazing job. So well done, design team.
Yeah, I could have went for some AOS models.
Sure, I get it. It is kind of a shame that we don't have any AOS exclusives, but you know,
so or even like the other previous ones, like being made available for made to order.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of those Stormcast out there. I don't know, like whether the Stormcast specific ones, like the Night Quester or the Orky Smashy guy, Stormcast guy, or even older stuff like the Night Haunt. Like I don't know. It seems like a missed opportunity. Like GW, I want to give you money. Now I'm not going to give you money. Like because there's nothing I want.
Well, I will be buying this model, so don't worry. You're getting half the money on this podcast. But what I'll say is, we'll get a year. Don't worry, Tom. We'll get a year.
I mean, maybe.
They won't be 40K models forever. We'll get a year.
It's only been 40K models up until this point.
All things in due time, my friend. The old statement. The best things come to those who wait. So, that's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, this is it. That's the whole preview. I mean, I'm going to go back to you here, Tom. So, put your pants back on, stop picking your nose or whatever. Here we go. Okay. And we'll bring back up a nice little image down here in the corner. We'll bring back up this nice gate breaker thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. This is what I wanted. We should talk about future previews just very quickly.
Yep.
They did say this is the last one until May.
They didn't give a date in May. They just said May.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Because, so let's talk about what would have been. The world that would have been, right?
Okay. The world that got blown up.
Yes. Warhammer Fest was set to start not next weekend, but the weekend after that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And they always do a big reveal at Warhammer Fest. That's it follows on Adepticon.
Is it normally 40K or what is it normally?
It varies. I think it's generally just a big reveal because they're doing it at that's their show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep.
And it's so you've got three competing things here going on that we should lay out, right? One, Warhammer Fest was coming, and so there was clearly another big reveal they would want to do had we not had this global pandemic, right?
Yep.
Two, their current date for when they sort of had everything locked down till was May 2nd.
Yep.
Okay. Three, the UK just extended their sort of lockdown that they have for another 3 weeks as
Yep.
of whenever. I don't know what the actual last date of that was. All right.
Yep.
Um, but that would push it to the week after Warhammer Fest, basically into the week after the second. Okay.
Right.
Who knows what that ends up allowing? Okay.
Yep.
For them to go back, they don't know, obviously. Right.
They can't make any commitments.
They can't make any commitments. They have to. They have to take care of the health and safety of their people and respect government orders and everything like that first. And that is always got to be the priority. I'm sure that they are ready and raring to get back to going, as are we all. And if they can do so safely, they will. And so my personal expectation would be that reveal that was going to be on the 2nd. They're hoping will be, or not the 2nd, sorry. What is that actual Saturday? Yeah, it is the 2nd, I'm sorry. Warhammer Fest, that reveal show would have been on Saturday the 2nd. I imagine in their mind, they're hoping they can do it on the 9th.
Yeah, and I suspect that Martin, I think Orlando had said this, that I agree with him, that I suspect that they're wanting to give an opening date. Like they want to get, they want to push it late enough so that they can actually announce when the next launch of models is hypothetically going to be.
Right, and one would assume that the UK government over the next 3 weeks of their sort of lockdown, assuming they actually do flatten the curve and get things to where they should, and where they hope to, obviously, is that you'll then have some kind of opening plan, and so GW will understand when and where people are allowed to go and what it's going to look like and what they are and aren't allowed to do. Right. And so then they can start setting their own plans in accordance with that. And one would imagine that we'll see that next show on either like the 9th or the 16th, depending on obviously how that all happens.
Sure.
But all of that is just supposition and tentative and obviously super subject to change because who the hell knows in the end what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, no one does.
So, all in all, this was great. I mean, look, give me them Giants. I gotta get me some of them Giants, baby. I can't get them soon enough. But I don't want anybody to endanger themselves for my Giants. I would if it was like, Vince, are you willing to endanger yourself to go to the UK and get them Giants?
You're like coronavirus or Giants. I'll take my chances.
I'll take my chances. I want them Giants. But I wouldn't be able to. I would then have to put myself into self-quarantine for a few weeks, which would be fine. I don't need to see another human being for 2 weeks. I'd be painting Giants. What do I need other human beings for? It's ridiculous.
So here's the question, Vince. How many boxes do you start with of Giants?
So assuming that they cost like they cost and we think they're going to, like, I don't mean dollar-wise, I mean points-wise, right?
Do you buy 6 out of the gate?
No, I don't, because I don't think, and that's not because I don't want more than could go in an army. I famously like more big monsters than can fit in an army, right?
Right.
But I think the answer is 5. Okay,
so almost 6 is the answer.
Yeah.
Do you buy any original Giants?
I think I still have at least one original Giant.
Unbuilt?
Unbuilt, yeah. I'm pretty sure I still have one on Sprue.
Yeah, I have one on Sprue as well.
And I have a Gorgon on Sprue. Who would fit in actually as a nice muscular Giant, so I might use some of his bits to make another Giant. So there's certainly possibility there. That's my ultimate answer, Tom.
Okay, so 5 plus maybe some of what you already have.
Yeah, I think 5 is the right answer. The original Gargants, I have so many of them already. Right? I know. I don't know that I need a bunch more.
So, do you have a theme in mind for your Gargant army? Because clearly you're all in, and so the question is like, how all in?
What does that mean? That's the challenge. I don't know yet. If you all out there watching have got a good idea, drop it down a comment. I would love to hear suggestions, thoughts about cool themes for a giant army, because you're right. And that's why I probably won't use any of my old Giants. I'll start with...
Yeah, because you may want a unified theme.
Right, exactly. I don't want it to just be a bunch of Giants. I would like them to have some cool thing going on. So, hey, if people have thoughts, drop a comment. I'd love to see it. People have such great ideas. So
you're not going to do like a tour of the mortal realms with one giant from each realm? Could
be. That could be a way to go. I don't know. I haven't thought about it because I haven't. Here's the thing, Tom. I haven't allowed myself to think about it yet
Because you hadn't seen models.
because I hadn't seen models. Yep.
Right.
Now that I've seen the models, it's time to start putting together a theme, something cool, a cool angle to actually have here. You
I think
know,
you should do a Stormcast themed giant army.
well, the one of the things that had occurred to me was it would be neat to do a D&D giant army.
Right.
To actually, so instead of them being normal flesh colored, have the leader be a storm giant, have frost and cloud and fire, right? And just actually shape them into the giants that I grew up on,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But I'm not set on that yet. I'm more than open to ideas. So, yep, we'll see. We'll see what it boils down to. Cool. All right. Any other final thoughts, Tom?
No. I'm down for those Canaanites. Hook me
That's
up.
right. That's
Let's
yeah.
do this.
They can't wait to see the rest of that one. Hope everybody out there is staying safe. Don't forget to give this a like. Hit that like button. There's a lot of people watching right now. Hit that like. Do it. Press it. Press it right now. No, because it helps. I really do appreciate it. In this time, it's nice. People are always looking for stuff to watch, and the more of you hit like, the more easy it is for everybody to find the channel. So I do very much appreciate that. Yeah. So there you go. That's it, folks. That's the reaction show. Look forward. We'll be back on Wednesday, obviously. And we hope all of you enjoyed this. We hope all of you out there are staying safe, getting some good hobby on, spending time with your family. And
I've been building so many armies.
Yeah.
In so many boxes.
Tom's being productive.
I am. Hey, there you go. There's a future project that's happening right there.
Tom's been playing with all the bright colors. He's got bright colored mushrooms. Can't wait to see you share that.
Yeah.
So at any rate, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We really, really do appreciate it. So as always, we will see you next Wednesday.